All right, so we're diving into Stephen King's On Writing.
It's a classic.
Yeah, this book, it's part memoir, part like masterclass in writing,
Yeah.
So we've got your notes, your highlights, and we're going to pull out those golden nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
So you can really walk away with insights into King's journey
Right.
and practical writing tips, too,
Exactly.
to apply to your own writing.
Yeah, I mean, some of these stories you just won't believe.
No, you won't believe some of this stuff.
Like, did you know that King's first memory is of pretending to be a circus strongman?
Wow.
And then there's that babysitter
Okay.
who locked him in a closet after he had a little accident.
Yeah. A vomiting incident.
Yeah. And then...
And we can't forget the poison ivy story either.
Oh, we'll get to that.
It's amazing.
Oh, yeah, that's classic King.
Okay, so let's paint a picture here.
Okay.
King's childhood,
All right.
small town, fascination with horror,
Yeah.
and a healthy dose of, let's call it misadventure. We're talking about a kid who used poison ivy leaves as toilet paper
Oh, my gosh.
while pretending to be Hopalong Cassidy.
No way.
I mean, talk about committing to the role.
Wow.
Seriously.
You know what I love about it, though? He's so honest
Yeah.
about all of it, even the embarrassing stuff.
Right.
And he argues that's what makes for relatable writing, you know?
I think that's a good point.
You're not presenting some perfect version of yourself
Yeah.
and let the reader in flaws and all.
That's a great point. And that honesty, it's definitely there throughout the book.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he's talking about like tougher experiences like his mother's battle with cancer.
Yeah.
But amidst all of that, this guy starts writing at a young age.
It's incredible.
We're talking writing horror stories
Wow.
inspired by movies
Mm.
and selling them at school.
What?
He even ran a newspaper with his brother
Oh, yeah.
called Dave's Rag.
Dave's Rag.
I love that.
It's amazing.
So can you picture this?
Okay.
They're using a hectograph. It's basically like a homemade printing method using gelatin.
Wow.
And then later they upgrade
Okay.
to this messy drum printing press
Oh, no.
in their basement.
In the basement.
It wasn't exactly high tech.
No, but it's that DIY spirit
Exactly.
that so many writers, I think, start with.
You have to have that drive.
Yeah.
But of course, it wasn't all sunshine and roses.
Right.
King talks about getting a ton of rejection slips early on,
Oh, I bet.
which, let's face it, is practically a rite of passage for any writer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But he kept going,
That's the key.
kept refining his craft.
Yep.
And it's interesting, he highlights the importance of mentors and supporters during that time.
Oh, absolutely.
He talks about John Gould,
Yeah.
a newspaper editor,
Mm-hmm.
who taught him some really valuable lessons.
Right.
And of course, his wife, Tabitha Spruce.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
Talk about a power couple.
Yeah.
She sounds amazing.
I mean, it just shows you how important it is to have people who believe in you. People who can give you honest feedback, I think, for anyone. Whether you're a writer or pursuing any creative passion,
Mm-hmm.
having that support system can make all the difference.
It really can.
And you can see how those early influences, along with King's relentless drive,
Yeah.
helped shape his journey from that laundry room writing space
Might.
to, well, becoming Stephen King.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
we've talked about King's early life.
Yeah, his childhood.
A little bit about his writing journey.
Mm-hmm.
But let's
get into the good stuff.
get into the
Some
nitty-gritty,
writing toolbox.
the toolbox.
Yeah. And that journey that takes us right into the heart of on writing,
Yeah.
where King pulls back the curtain and shares his writing toolbox.
Mm.
Now, he's known for being direct,
Yeah.
even blunt at times,
Really?
especially when it comes to things like vocabulary and grammar.
He doesn't mince words, that's for sure.
No, he does not.
I love how he quotes Mark Twain.
Oh.
You know about choosing the right word.
Mm.
The difference between the almost right word and the right word is really a large matter. It's the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning.
Powerful.
It's about precision.
Yeah,
Like finding that word that packs the biggest punch.
exactly. And his advice on vocabulary, it really boils down to this.
Okay.
Use the first word that comes to mind.
Okay.
And this is key.
Okay.
He follows that up with, if it is appropriate and colorful.
Right. So it's not just about grabbing any old word.
Right.
It has to be the right word.
Exactly.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But then he gets to grammar
Oh, boy.
and he doesn't hold back.
No, he doesn't.
He even compares it to...
Well, let's just say something unpleasant.
Yeah.
But the point is, grammar matters.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of
Yeah.
clear communication.
Right.
King uses this example from Strunk and White.
Okay.
As a mother of 5 with another one on the way, my ironing board is always up.
Wait a minute.
It's hilarious,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The ironing board is pregnant.
But it's also totally confusing.
Yeah.
It shows how bad grammar can make your meaning completely unclear.
Okay, so bad grammar equals reader confusion.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But then he goes on this whole thing about adverbs,
Oh, yeah.
which apparently he really, really hates.
He calls them pernicious dandelions.
Oh my gosh.
I love that.
It's so funny.
But his point is, adverbs, especially in dialogue attribution, they're often lazy shortcuts.
Okay,
So instead, he said angrily,
right.
he'd rather you describe the character's tone of voice.
Don't tell.
Exactly. Show us the anger.
I like that.
Don't just tell us.
So instead of saying like, she whispered softly,
Right.
describe the way her voice barely reaches the listener's ear,
Yes.
the way her breath hitches.
Exactly.
Oh, let's see.
It's all about letting the dialogue and the context
Right.
do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And this idea of letting the story breathe,
Okay.
it extends to his advice on paragraphs.
Okay, so this is where he gets really visual. He compares paragraphs to Dairy Queen ice cream cones.
Oh, I love that analogy.
I know, me too.
It's so good.
So good.
He's talking about the visual impact of writing,
Right?
how the shape of the paragraphs can signal to the reader what kind of experience they're in for.
Interesting.
So short paragraphs, like those ice cream cones,
Yeah.
create this sense of lightness, ease.
Okay.
Longer ones signal something denser, more challenging.
Wow. I never really thought about it that way.
It's interesting.
But it makes so much sense.
Yeah,
It's like the white space on the page is part of the storytelling too.
exactly. And that brings us to King's approach to storytelling itself.
Okay.
He's a big believer in situation over plot.
He actually uses this analogy of excavating a fossil.
Yeah,
I thought that was so interesting.
I love that one.
It's like you've got this amazing discovery
Right.
buried in the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and the story unfolds as you carefully uncover it.
He encourages writers to think of their stories as fossils.
Wow.
Start with a compelling situation. Okay.
And then let the characters and events emerge organically, like bones being revealed.
That's such a cool visual.
He even gives this exercise
Oh, really?
where he sets up a situation
Mm-hmm.
and tells you to just write.
Oh, wow.
No outline,
Well,
no preconceived plot.
just right.
Just let the story unfold.
That sounds terrifying,
It does.
but also kind of liberating.
Yeah,
Like, trust the process. Trust your instincts.
exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of trusting your instincts, King also talks about the power of description
Okay.
to engage the reader's senses.
Uh-huh.
He says it's about creating a kind of miracle
Wow.
by painting a picture with words.
And he's not afraid to call out bad description either.
Oh, no!
He uses this hilarious example of a simile,
Okay.
comparing something to a turkey sandwich.
Oh, my God.
It's so awkward and out of place.
No.
It's like we get similes are hard.
They are hard.
But the point he's making is that description should serve the story,
Right.
not distract from it.
And, you know, we can't talk about storytelling without talking about dialogue,
Oh, for sure.
which, according to King, is all about revealing character and creating realism.
That's essential.
So he contrasts good dialogue and bad dialogue.
Right.
And one of his examples of, like, truly terrible dialogue
Yes.
comes from John Katzenbach's Heart's War.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so clunky and unnatural.
It's painful.
I know.
You can practically hear the characters cringing
Oh, I'm going to have to check that out.
just for the cringe factor.
Purely for the cringe factor.
It's so bad, it's good.
But I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
Dialogue should sound like how people actually talk.
Yeah.
Even if it's messy or grammatically incorrect.
Right. It's about capturing those nuances.
Right.
Those little quirks of speech that make characters come alive.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that authenticity extends to character development as a whole.
Oh, absolutely.
King is a big believer in observing people,
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to those small details
Yes.
that make them unique,
Right.
and then bringing that honesty to your writing.
It's all about honesty.
He even uses this example of someone picking their nose
Oh, yeah.
when they think no one is watching.
It's the little things.
I
It
know.
might seem small,
Right.
but those little quirks are what make characters memorable and relatable.
Absolutely.
He's reminding us that characters shouldn't be one-dimensional.
Right.
They should have their own perspectives, their own motivations,
Mm-hmm.
even if those motivations are sometimes a little, well, gross.
Okay.
But that's what makes them real. So we've talked about characters, dialogue description,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you pull it all together?
Yeah. How do you make sure your story has that extra layer of depth?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, King has this really interesting take on that.
Okay.
He talks about this aha moment he had while revising The Stand.
Oh, wow.
And he suddenly realized the book's central theme
Okay.
was violence as a solution.
Wow.
And it just made him realize how important it is
Yeah.
to really understand what your story's about at its core.
Right.
Not just the plot, right, but like the underlying message,
It's like finding the soul of the story.
Exactly.
Yeah, what's the big idea you're exploring?
Right.
The question you're wrestling with.
And King encourages writers to ask themselves this:
Okay.
what's my story really about? And to use the revision process to bring that theme to the forefront.
Because that's what elevates a good story to a great one.
Exactly.
That deeper level of meaning.
It's what stays with the reader
Right.
long after they've finished the book.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of something else he talks about.
What's that?
Having an ideal reader in mind as you write.
Oh, yeah.
For King, that's Tabitha.
It's so valuable to have someone you trust.
Right.
Someone who can give you honest and insightful feedback.
Someone who's not afraid to tell you when something isn't working.
Exactly. Or if you've made a continuity error.
Oh, like Alfred Hitchcock's wife.
Alma Revel.
Yeah.
She caught a pretty big one in Psycho.
Really? What did she catch?
Well, remember that iconic shower scene?
Yeah.
She noticed Janet Leigh was still swallowing
Oh.
after she was supposed to be dead.
Wow, I never noticed that.
It's a small detail.
It's crazy.
But it just goes to show you,
Yeah.
even the masters need a fresh perspective,
Right.
someone to catch those things.
They might miss.
Exactly.
And King stresses the importance of being open to that feedback,
Yeah,
even if it's tough to hear.
right.
Because ultimately, it's about making the story the best it can be.
Exactly.
Sometimes that means making those difficult cuts,
Mm,
killing your darlings.
as they say.
It's hard to let go of things you love in your writing,
It is.
but sometimes it's necessary
Yeah. For the good of the story.
for the good of the story.
Yeah.
And one thing that really resonated with me throughout on writing
Mm-hmm.
is King's emphasis on truth.
Oh, yeah.
He's a firm believer that writing has to be truthful,
It does.
even if it's uncomfortable or unpopular.
He's not afraid to tackle tough subjects,
Well-
to delve into the darkness.
Yeah, and he talks about writing from experience,
Mm-hmm.
drawing on your own life,
Yeah.
your own observation.
Your own emotions.
Right.
He even shares this incredibly personal story
Yeah.
about being hit by a van back in 1999
Oh, wow.
and how that near-death experience
Right.
really impacted his view on writing and life.
It's a powerful reminder that life is unpredictable.
It is.
Things happen.
Yeah. But we can always find a way to tell our stories, to
Yeah.
make sense of it all through writing.
I love that.
And that brings us to King's closing statement,
Okay.
which I just think is beautiful.
Yeah.
Writing is magic as much the water of life as any other creative art. The water is free, so drink.
I love that it's such a powerful invitation to embrace the power of storytelling.
As writers and as readers.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing that stories have this incredible ability to
Yeah.
connect us, to transport us, to help us understand ourselves
Right.
and the world around us.
I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways from On Writing
Yeah.
is that even though King is a master of horror,
Mm-hmm.
this book is ultimately about hope.
It is.
It's about the power of words to heal, to
Yeah.
inspire,
Yeah.
to create something truly magical.
And to remind us that the water is always there
Yeah.
waiting for us to drink.
I love that so much.
Me too.
Well, that was a fantastic deep dive into Stephen King's On Writing. I
Yeah.
hope everyone listening was able to pull out some golden nuggets
I think so.
for their own writing
Yeah,
journeys.
There's so much wisdom in there.
Yeah.
So much inspiration.
I think so too.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's it for today's deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.